I got a secret. I still hate cucumber, so if you're anything like me, you're gonna wanna watch this one. Welcome back to So You Don't Like. It's been a while and I'm glad you're here. This is a series dedicated to picky eaters and people who have to accommodate them. Each one of these focuses on a specific ingredient that people tend to really dislike. And usually people dislike something for one of two reasons. It's either the taste of the ingredient itself or something doesn't sit right with the texture of it. So you don't like cucumbers? Well, honestly, neither do I. Let's see if we can fix that. Pickles are cucumbers, and they definitely transform the humble cucumber into something more interesting. I may really dislike cukes, but I do enjoy pickles, so we're gonna walk that way for the flavor prep. We're not making classic dill pickles though. We're gonna be making slightly tangy, slightly spicy, smashed cucumber salad. They sort of hit that same pickle note from the vinegar that's in them, but you can eat them on the side without having to be one of those like intense pickle people. These are definitely good enough to convince me to eat them on their own, and you're gonna wanna try these. Start by smashing 3 Persian cucumbers with the side of your knife or the back of a cast iron or something just heavy. You don't want to absolutely destroy them though. This is going to give the cukes some texture for the spicy sauce to cling to them, but again, you don't want them like totally mush. We're going to slice them into bite-sized chunks and then season them generously with salt. This is going to season the cucumbers and also draw out a lot of the excess water that's going to eventually be replaced with our spicy dressing. The salt needs around 30 minutes to do its magic, so let it sit for now. After the 30 minutes are up, drain the water and then wash off the extra salt. Into the bowl with the cucumbers, we're gonna add chili crisp, rice vinegar, Chinese black vinegar, and we're gonna season this with salt, sugar, MSG, grated garlic, toasted sesame seeds, and a little sesame oil. I put the recipe in every one of my descriptions, but if you don't know to check it, it's down there. Mix these and let these rest in the fridge for a couple hours before enjoying, or you could just eat them right away. They're not gonna be as cold and crisp and refreshing, but they're gonna be delicious anyways. These are nice and crunchy with a hit of tang and a good amount of heat. It works perfectly alongside some rice or paired with Korean barbecue if you're looking for that like punch-on vibe. These are really, really good and have changed my wife and I's perception about cucumbers a lot. We now keep a container of those in the fridge almost every week. We went from never buying cucumbers to keeping those around, which is kind of a crazy change if you're somebody who's picky. Quick note about cucumbers in general. One of the reasons you may not like cucumbers is because you're just eating the wrong kind. English cucumbers, those like long, big cucumbers, are just gross. Like, I think they're just nasty and an inferior cucumber. They're the ones that make you like burp and taste cucumber in the back of your throat all day. The skin is tough. They're just like not what you really want to be eating. I feel like those are kind of the like buffet salad cucumbers, and they're just a little bit gross. And honestly, making the switch from English cucumbers to something like a Persian cucumber or a mini cucumber may just fix it for you outright. These Persian cucumbers that I'm using today are really thin skinned and it's edible, so you don't have to worry about like peeling them. The seeds are edible, it's not as watery, and they don't make you have that like gross cucumber taste in your mouth all day long. So they're a much better way to go for any sort of cucumber use. For our texture recipe, we're gonna throw all texture just out the window and go with a refreshing and delicious Agua Fresca. It's gonna be light, it's gonna be sweet, it's gonna be tangy, it's gonna be so, so good. If the watery crunch of cucumber throws you off, but you're okay with the taste of it, this is definitely gonna be the way you wanna go. To punch up the beautiful cucumber flavor, we'll start by making a minty sugar syrup. This is both for sweetness and flavor. In a pot, bring 60 grams of water mixed with 60 grams of sugar up to a simmer. Bump those numbers up to 70 if you like a sweeter drink. Once the sugar has dissolved and you just start to see some bubbles, pour this over 5 grams of chopped mint leaves. This is basically the amount of leaves that come in one of those herb clamshells you can get at the grocery store. Let that sit to cool while we work on the other parts of the drink. As it sits, the mint is gonna impart all of its nice flavor into the syrup, but we're gonna strain it later, so don't worry about the mint leaves turning brown. Wash 4 limes and then we're gonna zest them. We're gonna want both the juice and the zest from these limes to create this like awesome, bright, acidic super juice. When zesting, be sure not to get too much of the whites as it makes the zest bitter and really unpleasant. Use a microplane for a really easy time here and do what I'm doing, where I hold the microplane in one hand, the lime in the other, and then I rotate the microplane around the lime. That gets you a really, really even zest, and it saves you a lot of trouble. Place the zest into a bowl and then juice those limes into the zest. If you don't have a juicer, go ahead and grab a fork and place the tongs into the flesh of the lime and then hold it, squeeze, and turn the fork. This basically acts like a makeshift juicer. You may get some kind of pulp and seed if your lime is seedy, but we're gonna strain it later anyways, so don't worry about it. This is gonna turn into that like supercharged lime juice that's gonna bring all of the acidity we need for this to be really, really refreshing. Now we're gonna wash 4 Persian cucumbers and break them down into pieces that can fit into a blender. These should be roughly 450 grams or so, but go ahead and weigh them because we're gonna need an equal amount of water. Blend this until it's smooth, but then strain it out to remove some of the pulp. Most of it is gonna be fine enough to mix with the drink and you're not gonna have to worry about it, but any like big pieces or anything that hasn't been blended, you're gonna wanna strain out. From there, dump out the cucumber pulp and then place a paper towel onto the strainer and strain the simple syrup into the cucumber juice along with that lime juice as well. Mix all of that together and add a little bit of salt for final seasoning. That's gonna help punch everything up. This should be a perfect balance between tangy, sweet, and refreshing. And man, is it so good. Pour this over some ice. If you want it a little bit less thick and almost pulpy, you can add some water to water it down. You could also add tequila to this and just like a little bit of squeeze of extra lime on top for a really, really nice summer cocktail. I gotta say, this is about as refreshing as a drink could get. I have made this so many times since I've tested this recipe, and we just keep a big container of it in the fridge, pour out a little bit when we need it. It is so delicious. Both me and my wife hated cucumber before this entire process started. And this has absolutely changed my perception of the humble cucumber. It's made me into somebody who will actively seek it out and buy it because I know sort of what to do with it now. I don't want it to just be this like bland side note to a salad that gets thrown into it. I want it to be well thought of. And I think that's kind of the whole point of this series, is taking these ingredients that are just kind of left behind and thoughtlessly placed into dishes and turning them into something that is like pretty exciting. And I think that helps a lot with picky eaters. Let me know if you're willing to try any of these or if this has changed your mind on cucumbers, but more importantly, tell me what foods you despise. Thank you so much for watching. Massive shout out to the amazing people supporting me directly on Patreon through patreon.com/CameronMarty. These people have decided my work is worth supporting financially and they get some cool benefits for doing it. So check it out and consider becoming a patron. If you're interested in more veggie forward recipes like these, go ahead and check out this vegan miso ramen. It's pretty unbelievable how good it is, and it matches the taste and texture you get with any good bowl of ramen. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.